Justice League number 9, written by Jeff Johns, art by Jim Lee. Last issue was kind of an off-tangent story about Green Arrow not joining the Justice League, so it doesn't matter for this. This issue, however, picks up 4 years ago, Augusta, Maine, where author David Graves, who was mentioned in Justice League number 6, is dying. Just straight up not okay. And his doctor comes in and is like, all right, David, so here's the deal. We ran all the new medications and whatnot, but it's still, you're not receiving it, so not going to work. And he's like, all right, so what's our next move, Doc? And Doc just tells him, have you considered reaching out to the Justice League or Steve Trevor? Like, you wrote their book. You have an in with them. Are you sure? Have you done that? And they're like, they don't care about me. They won't respond to my little problems. And they're like, okay, well, all I can really offer is that you go out on your own terms, if you know what I mean, because it's not going to be good for you later on. And he's like, all right, I guess it's time for my story to begin. And he pulls out a gun and shoots his doctor. And he's like, all right, Justice League couldn't save me, so I have to save me. And 4 years later, now on to today, Washington, D.C., Steve Trevor's walking out of a liquor store, and he's accosted by paparazzi who are like, hey, Steve Trevor, what was it like having dated Wonder Woman and then lost her? What's it like knowing that every woman from now on is going to be a step down? What's it like knowing she's probably macking on Superman? And Steve gets a little bit upset by that. So he manages to make it home, and I guess he's living with his sister and her kids. I'm confused as to the arrangement here, but regardless, that's his family. And then the rest of this issue is basically just showing how every one of the Leaguers had some moments in their past that were a thing. So Batman is staring at the letter that he got from Flashpoint of, I don't think this has even come up before. He got a letter from his dad from an alternate universe from the Flash when the Flash went there. And he's staring at it. And then we see a moment in his past where he's painting over the walls of his bedroom after his parents died because he's sad and he doesn't want to have anything that reminds him of it at that moment. But then he gets an alert that a Justice League villain named The Key, who has telepath powers, has broken out of Arkham and he's causing chaos. Well, he's causing chaos at Arkham. He's gotten out of his cell. Then we cut over to the Daily Planet, and everyone is talking to each other. Perry, Jimmy, Lois, all making lunch plans with each other. Meanwhile, Clark's just sitting there lonely at his desk. And we see a flashback to him being picked last for the basketball team. Meanwhile, he gets a text from Bruce saying, hey, you got lunch plans? As we see them getting together at Arkham Asylum, just beating the crap out of all the villains who have gotten out of their cells and trying to find where the key is. So Superman's like, there's too many lead pipes. I can't see anything in this place. So how do you have a map? And at that point, Cyborg busts in and says, like, yeah, I'm the map. We need to go down this tunnel or whatever. And they're like, how are you able to navigate this place? And apparently Cyborg's all hooked up to every computer, even Batman's. And then we see his past, which isn't really his past. It's just the things that were in the first arc of the Justice League where, him and his dad don't get along. So yeah, they're busting through walls trying to get to the key. Meanwhile, Steve Trevor, I guess he was only stopping at his sister's place. He comes back home, TV's on, and it's showing the altercation that happened earlier outside the liquor store. And when he finally calms down, he puts his gun away. He hears a voice behind him saying, like, I hope you got to read my book, Steve. I know that you're more than just Wonder Woman's ex. We're going to have a nice long talk. So then we cut over to Green Lantern and Flash, who just finished taking out some major disaster from Weapons Master in Keystone. And basically it's just a back and forth of Flash wants to play the bad cop in interrogating, like, what's going on. And Green Lantern's like, dude, you suck at being the bad cop. And then we get little glimpses of Green Lantern being put in a drunk tank because I guess he had problems before the ring, and Flash just doing his job as a forensics unit. So anyway, finally Flash convinces Green Lantern to let him be the bad cop. And Green Lantern goes up to Weapons Master and he's like, hey man, if it were up to me, I'd let you go, but Flash is really pissed off about what you did to his city, and he's just going to vibrate his hand right into your head and turn your brain to mush. And Weapons Master's like, he can do that? And he's like, yeah, just ask Mongoose. And he's like, who? Exactly. So then Flash comes up, and Flash is like, all right, Weapons Master, you better talk or I'm gonna. And he's like, you're gonna what? And he's like, I'm gonna get upset. And he's like, I'm not telling you anything. And she's like, all right, great. Now we got to call in Wonder Woman. So Wonder Woman shows up with the lasso of truth. And we see her little flashback is her getting into a relationship, having a relationship, and then losing the relationship with Steve Trevor. So they put the lasso around Weapons Master. At the same time, Superman, Batman, and Cyborg find the key in Arkham. And they're both talking about the same thing now of Weapons Master didn't, like, he was hired by someone, but they didn't care if they made weapons. They just wanted to find out more about how the League fought. And the key, because he's a telepath, knows a whole bunch of the League's like inner secrets and stuff. And this person the key was only broken out by somebody in order to learn those secrets. And in both cases, his name was Graves. So no points if you guessed that. So anyway, then we cut to Steve Trevor, who's tied up and being beaten in a chair. And he's not giving in. He's not giving up any info. And then this unseen figure comes up and he's just like, I'm going to get what I want. You're going to die here. The only difference is whether or not you die with your sister and her kids or if they can make it out. Because that's what's going to happen if you don't cooperate. And so he snaps like some fingers on Steve's hand, and Steve finally just gives in and says, all right, I'll tell you everything you need to know. And that's where the issue ends. Ooh. It's a start. It's something. I don't think I really needed the Flash, but like maybe it's setting up to something of all these flashes of like them in their past of like, because it seems like we're going with a thing of secrets that the Justice League has, or like the individual members at least, but it seemed more like none of them were really secrets. I wouldn't even say all of them were uncomfortable memories. Like the Flashes was him just seeing some other cops being dicks to a inmate and saying, hey, he's got rights, and that's it. Like, that's the only... Everyone else was at least uncomfortable. Flash was just like, yeah, no, that was just the thing I had. So I don't know what the thread is going on with that. Everything else, though, in this I was very much a fan of. This is, however, like the third issue in a row of Steve Trevor being the guy, and if that's the way they're setting it up and they do something with it to pay it off, cool. But if he's just kind of around as a link between Man and Justice League, and basically he's just seeming like he's acting as the Lois Lane, where it's like, oh, I need to get to Superman, therefore I will take Lois Lane. Everyone else is like, oh, I need to get to the Justice League, therefore Steve Trevor, which seems a little bit weird to me. But regardless, it's good. It's a solid issue. I give it a 7.5. Jim Lee art did feel a little bit shaky at times, but on the average, on the whole, it is very good. So 7.5. Looking forward to seeing what David Graves is.